corporal with Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry. I was stationed in Winnipeg. I did a tour in Cyprus and 4 years in Germany.
I was everything from a gunner in the local militia up to an officer in the Canadian Forces. And I was stationed all across Canada. I never went overseas. There wasn't much other than Germany, which was sort of a cushy posting.
I served from 1941 to 1946 in the Women's Air Force, Guelph.
You just know where you don't want to
And
be.
it was all in Britain, from one end, down in Cornwall, up to the Orkneys, right off the coast, the north coast of Scotland, and in between.
In Europe, NATO, off and on, 6 years total from 1950, the first time I was in 1956 to 1980, off and on. At the Navy of Pakistan with the United States Military Observer Group from 1973 1974, which was a year. I was in Egypt from 1966 1967 with United Nations Military, or United Nations Emergency Force.
It started off with what we call triangulation, when the aircraft emitted signals and had literally strings coming out of a little hole, and you crossed them over and then you guessed where that aircraft was. I was quite good at that, actually. And then they got radar, thank goodness. It was much a little bit more pinpointed.
Well, it was so hard.
We then gave those plots to the girls on the large map table. And they pushed them around to show where this aircraft was, so we could track our own aircraft where they were going. And if we got radar from another aircraft that
We can't remember where
ours, we would assume that it was an enemy.
I spent a lot of time in transport, and we aided countries for disasters and stuff like that, flying in all kinds of relief supplies, that sort of thing.
So you were one of the original peacekeepers.
Among other things, peacekeepers. A little bit of peacemaking in Europe. Europe was in the 50s and 60s. It was a little tense from time to time.
My father had been in World War II, and he'd been with the Palestine Police Force and a few other things in the Middle East after the war was over. Then my brother and I both joined. I joined cadets because I was younger. He joined the militia, and then I joined the militia after that. And then I joined the regular force, and then he joined the regular force. He stayed in a bit longer than I did and retired as a lieutenant colonel.
By that time, I had finished my degree, and it was a question of either taking a job or joining up, and by then we decided the war was going to last, and it was just after Dunkirk, so I decided to join up.
I'm third generation military. My grandfather was with the Winnipeg Rifles. He served in Passchendaele and Vimy. He was wounded. He made it back. During World War II, he was too old to be of use, they thought, at the age of 50, which I am 50. He was put on home guard. He was a carpenter by trade, so he built the wing struts for the Lancaster bomber.
Wow.
My uncle was a wireless navigator for the Lancaster bomber, and my father was also in the Air Cadets.
I was there when the communists put the wall up in Berlin, and that was tense.
You were there as they were doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah. What was that like?
tense.
Tense.
We thought we were in World War III. What we did over there, we had 4 wings, and each wing had 3 squadrons, and squadron 25 aircraft. And we changed after a while. We got 1 squadron in each wing with CF-100s, and that brought it down somewhat. They were more of a surveillance aircraft, but it was dangerous. We lost over 100 pilots there. There's a graveyard, the Royal Canadian Air Force graveyard, in Charlois, France, which is just outside of Tours, which is outside of Nancy. And there are 277 Canadians buried in there that lost their lives in the Cold War.
One of the things I think about some of my friends who've passed away, either during the conflict or I lost a good friend a short while ago. He was a World War II vet, and we'd normally have coffee every Friday. And saw him on the Friday and heard on the Monday that he passed away, and I couldn't believe it. It just
That's worldwide, that's for everybody.
too many of our war vets are just passing away.
We learned hatred of not of an enemy, but of our own government.
Oh, really?
Because war, we realized very soon, was just a waste of money. While we were allowing people in our own country to be not educated because of the expense, to die in poverty. One of the girls in our watch had word that her grandmother had died. And this woman had died because she couldn't even afford a cup of tea or a fire. No pension. So that was something that we didn't like.
It's a large brotherhood. I found it was very difficult getting out of the military after almost 10 years. Entering into the civilian workforce, there isn't that camaraderie. Honest day's work for an honest day's pay. That was the biggest thing. It took me a lot to get used to working with civilians again. So.
We as Canadians, I think, have a duty to keep people in the world as free as we possibly can. And one day a year, we should take some time to remember those that lost their lives in those wars. So horrific.
The general population thinks about the sacrifices that so many of the veterans gave. Some gave the ultimate sacrifice. People complain about our government and all sorts of things, but without our vets, they wouldn't have that right.
Yeah, really.
So they've given them the freedom to do whatever they want in this great country.
I find that the military is quite easily forgotten if they're not in the news constantly. So places like the McCrae House pushes that fact home that there are still veterans every day, 365 days. I've had that question where people say, can I only wear the poppy just on Remembrance Day, or how long do I wear it? Well, I wear mine every year, every day of the year, because I've lost too many friends. So.
My message is up to you people to keep them going now. Don't allow the Medicare to go away. Don't allow universities' rates to go up. Don't have pensions cut. And don't have war.